This is Judge Joe Brown, and you're watching We All Be News TV, the
News-free Dixie.
News-free Dixie for the 21st century.
Dr. James Tucker is an honor to have you on our show. We All Be. Thank you for consenting to do the interview with us. We're going to talk about your book, the
EthnicITy.
Yes, of Jesus. Mm-hmm. Some book you wrote, The Surprising Truth About Blacks in the Bible. So how you doing today?
Doing fine.
Yeah, so we were talking. I want to ask you about how were you called into the ministry? Because you told me an interesting story about how you found out you were supposed to be a minister. Mm-hmm. Can you share that with us?
Yes. I was at Fisk University, lying in my bed. Seemingly, I was as awake as I am now. Mm-hmm. But I heard music and a sound that sounded like rushing wind or water. Mm-hmm. And then this voice came on and said, "I'm Angel Gabriel, and Jehovah God told me to tell you that you must preach." Well, I was just nervous. I was real nervous. Deep down, I knew, I just took it as a dream, but deep down, I knew it was not just a dream, because Angel Gabriel's name was mentioned and Jehovah God. But anyway, day in and day out, I would pray, asking God if it was not just a dream, to send that voice back to me. Mm-hmm. So during the Easter holidays, I came home from Fisk, and I was lying in the bed, my parents' bed there, and I heard this sound like wind, and the music. I heard music, and then this voice came on and said, "Why do you keep asking me a question that you already know the answer to?" But then, even then, I went 20 years before I started preaching. For some reason, I thought I didn't want to preach. Wow. But now, I don't understand why I did not want to preach. But I didn't want to preach at first. And I've asked God, I guess 1,000 times or more, to forgive me for that. Mm-hmm. But I actually felt something leaving me. I think I would have been a better and a more powerful preacher if I had gone on when I was first called. Because in the end, before I started, I could feel something just looked like slipping away. Mm-hmm. But I wouldn't take nothing from a journey. God has blessed me. I pastored 3 churches, and He blessed me in each church. Each church grew, and I left each one of them not owning the money. I was at New Zion over here 11 years, and we built a sanctuary and life center with gymnasium. Mm-hmm. And when I left, we didn't owe a penny. Wow. And had money in the bank. God blessed my ministry. As I said, each church grew in number and hopefully in spirituality. God blessed me. And He's still blessing. Since I retired, I wrote this book, and I've carried on revivals since retirement.
Somebody said, what inspired you to write this book? The
EthnicITy of Jesus?
Yes.
Well, I think really with the Holy Spirit, but I'd always questioned not that it mattered. Mm-hmm. I mean, when I remember the night that I accepted Christ, never shall forget. This preacher from Alabama, he was preaching. I don't remember his sermon, his text, anything. But on the end, he told about this man having only one son. And he came home and his house was engulfed in flame. And they told him his only son was in that house. And he went into the house, pulled off his garments, wrapped his son in his garment so he wouldn't be exposed directly to the fire. Mm-hmm. and threw his son to safety. And this preacher said, young people, this is what Jesus, we was on what we called back then the mourner's bench in this area.
Mm-hmm.
He said, this is what Jesus did for you. He pulled off his immortal robes and glory and came down to a sinful world, burning world to rescue you from a burning hell. I accepted Jesus that night. I didn't know what color he was. The only picture I had seen of Jesus, the picture had blue eyes and blonde hair. And it didn't matter to me. But I always questioned that he was that color and all. So I started doing research, black history, started reading as much material as I could find on blacks in the Bible and blacks. Then I found out that most of the people in the Bible were written about were black folk. The Egyptians mention a whole lot in the Bible. The Ethiopians mention a lot, more than probably anybody else in the Bible. So that caused me to want to do more research, and the research that I did, this book came out of it. Yeah. Like I say now, I still love Jesus just as much if he'd been like the picture that I first saw of him, or the painting that I first saw. It doesn't matter what color he is, but it was his blood, that crimson-colored blood that saved us all. That's what's important to me. Yeah.
So, like, how long did it take you to write the book?
It was probably about 6 months. I mean, off and on. I didn't just write every day, but it was about 6 months.
And what was like the initial feedback from people concerning the book?
Oh, I've had the ones that have read the book have been very positive, positive feedback. But there are some people, as I mentioned, the lady that my wife told about that I'd written the book. Did I mention that to you?
Yes, sir. Yeah,
Okay. Yeah. That she just looked at the surprising truth about blacks in the Bible, and the book to me, didn't turn a page and didn't make a comment.
It was a white lady.
It was a white lady.
Was she in religion? Was she a religious person or leader?
Well, she was a teacher. She was a teacher, and supposedly a religious person. Very liberal acting. But now on the other hand, I had Representative Steve Holland, representative now in Mississippi. I gave him a complimentary copy, and he wrote me a letter complimenting me. I have the letter in there now on the book.
It was a white man.
White man, yes, Steve Holland. He's a representative from here.
Wow.
Yeah, and he's white, and he was highly complimentary. But now that's the first. Well, I have two white preachers. While I was pastor at New Zion, there are 4 churches in Plantersville. 2 whites, 2 blacks. And a former pastor of the First Baptist Church and I had breakfast together, and we talked about having a revival together. So now we have, each year we have a revival. We hosted one night at one black church, a white church, next a night a black church, and then a white church. We've been doing it we have Thanksgiving service together. Wow. And that started. In fact, some of the research that I did at Memphis, Southern Baptist Theological Seminary in Louisville came from our interacting here in the county with white and black churches. And surprisingly, the whites seem more enthusiastic about the revival than the blacks.
Interesting.
And that was kind of surprising.
Wow.
So now, one thing that I had never read in a place, I had never heard anybody say, but I think it was given to me by God, and that is why black folk have had it so hard, Jews have had it so hard, and why women having it hard. Women in some places right now are treated as slaves. But I think that that Satan tried to destroy Jesus before he was born. He knew he was coming. He's knowing, but he's not all knowing like God. He knew that Jesus was coming, and Mary rode, I guess, a donkey, 80 miles to come to where she delivered her baby. And Herod, they had a verdict out that everybody's supposed to go to their fathers. Where they were.
Right.
In other words, David had to come to Bethlehem, and that got them there. But now Satan was behind that, but he was doing God's bidding, and so coming out of that Satan tried to destroy Jesus, even when he was born. Herod, the king, wanted to find out where he was born in order to come and destroy him. Then he had to go, Joseph was told in a dream not to go back the same way, but go to Egypt in order to keep the baby safe. So they went to Egypt. But after Satan had done all of that, still had not destroyed Jesus, he then took a vendetta out on the one that was responsible for Jesus coming into the world. We know that he was born by a woman. He has vendetta against one. We know that he was a Jew. Yes, the Jews have had a hard time. And now it is believed that Jesus was black, a Negro. And Negroes are similar to Egypt, similar to the Jews. Our pilgrimage has been similar to the Jews. Jews was in bondage 430 years. The Negroes was in bondage 240 years, something like that. But we didn't get freedom all at once. It may have been closer to the time the Jews was in bondage. Because all for the next 100 years or more, we weren't really free.
Right.
So the similarities are there between the Jews and the Negroes. And then main thing about the difference, and the reason I say that Jesus was a Negro, is that all animals, except sheep, have characteristically straight hair. Dogs, cats, lions, monkeys, apes, gorillas, all have straight hair, except the sheep. And all ethnic groups have straight hair, no matter whether they're Mexican, Europeans, whatever. All have straight hair except the Negro. And in Daniel, we find that the Ancient of Days had hair like lamb's wool. All right? In Revelation, John said that Jesus' feet were like polished brass that had been burned in a furnace. Now, brass is an alloy of copper, which is yellow, but when you burn it, it turns black. So if Jesus had black feet and woolly hair, anybody would know that he'd have to be a Negro, because nobody else would be black with woolly hair except a Negro. You can't find it.
So it would also be safe to say that the Jews in the Bible were black or Negroes? Or
Yes.
Okay.
I'm not going to say 100% of them, but yes, Jews in the Bible were black. That's what I say.
So I know you said, you mentioned earlier that Ethiopians are mentioned throughout the whole Bible. I mean,
they are mentioned more than any other group.
And I know we talk about Ethiopia. I know that they said that the oldest Bible is found in Ethiopia, and some people believe the Ark of the Covenant is in Ethiopia. and that's the only country in Africa that was never colonized or taken over by the Europeans. So you think there's something to that, or?
I would say so.
Okay.
Yeah, without direct proof, but I would say so.
So why is it that? You've been a minister for a number of years.
Yes.
What is the situation with the black church today? Is it irrelevant in terms of, like, I know a lot of people are complaining about the black church is not really involved in social justice issues, or that's the perception, or is it about this prosperity preaching is not really concerned about the eternal soul or whatever spirit?
Well,
what's your take on all that?
I certainly would not say that it was not involved in our struggle, because why do you think so many black churches were bombed and destroyed? It's where we had our civil rights meetings, and even down here in Neshoba County.
Right.
This all started from a black church. These people met in the black church. And over here in Alabama, those 3 little girls, there was a black church. This is why the enemy hated the black church, because of what it was doing. It was preaching. It was teaching about this, about our problem, and the solution to our problem.
But what, so I know I read stuff about Dr. King's letter from Birmingham jail. Like, that was really addressed to his his peers, the clergy and stuff like that. And I hear stuff about Dr. King issue with some of the ministers in the black church. Why is it that so many of the ministers in black church were not receptive towards Dr. King, in your opinion? That he had issue with some of his peers.
I don't know. I do know some ministers like the late Jackson. It was a problem between him and them. I know that. But I think commonly, the preacher, I don't think they had a problem with Dr. King. I know I didn't. I was at Atlanta University, and Dr. King carried my wife and I around over Ebenezer.
Wow.
Yeah, the church. And I talked with him, and when he was, after being issued the Nobel Peace Prize, he came back and he spoke at Morehouse. Well, we went to that. But anyway, I don't see the black preacher having a problem in general.
Right.
Now, I know there's some high preacher, I guess, wanted more honor than Dr. King had. I know they had a problem, but I've never talked to any black preacher that had an issue with Dr. King.
What about, like, the situation with the church where it's like a lot of young people are not going to church? Young black folks are not going to church. How can the church turn it around? Or is that just a perception?
I think you're right. I think it's a reality.
What's going on?
I think it goes back to the family. You see, we have a lot of young blacks, especially men. They are not growing up in a family, a traditional family, dysfunctional, to say the least. Is where we are now. They don't have a father in the house to say, we're going to church today. And these young men, especially, they kind of grow up on their own. So they get in the league with their peers, wearing their pants down, below their butt, and so on. And that's where they are. And right now, there's just a lot of violence. Now, I know the church could do more. We're short on evangelism. And that's what we need. We need to strive to get every black person in church. But we have so many, and it's addressed in my book, the reason for this.
Definitely.
It's sin. I think I listed sin, Satan, and the system has gotten us where we are now.
The 3 S's. I like that.
Sin, Satan, and the system.
Sin, Satan,
the system, because so many blacks have been incarcerated unjustly, and this have taken men out of the community for black women to marry. Right now, our black women just don't hardly have anybody to marry. so many are incarcerated, so many homosexuals, so many on drugs. When you take all that out, it's just a few. And this is called the black woman to be more immoral. Do you agree with that?
I mean, I think so. When you were saying that, I was thinking about polygamy. And your thoughts about polygamy. If there's a shortage of eligible black men, would it make more sense to honor polygamy? Because they already, you got all these baby daddies already. The people doing it in practice. So why not really make it institutionalized, more accepted?
Nah, that's the first time I've been asked that.
I mean, I want to get your thought because you're a biblical scholar.
It'd be hard for me to be a proponent of that idea, because marriage, according to the Bible, is between one man and one woman.
But you do have examples in the Bible, like King Solomon, for example, right? Or other people had more than one wives.
Yeah.
I mean, in the Bible,
but now in the New Testament, in the New Testament, the Bible speaks of one woman for one man.
Okay.
And until death do them part. And so it'd be hard for me to go against that and start talking on polygamy.
You said that you wouldn't endorse that. You couldn't endorse that.
No,
for black people.
But now I understand your point. They're doing it anyway.
Right.
But since the Bible speaks of one man and one woman, it'd be hard for me to endorse polygamy. Although it might, at first at least, it might make a difference in our young people. It might, maybe it would. I'm not sure.
Why would you make that exception then for the young people?
Well, they're the ones that right now is seemingly that's kind of loose.
Right.
Lack of a better word. Out of control. I like that word better. And a man was talking in a meeting we had last night. He talked to a young person, 13 or 14 years old, and just got cursed out. Well, in my day,
really?
when you had daddy and a mother there, that wouldn't have happened. That wouldn't have happened. But when there's no man in the young person's life except some illegitimate man that come in there or stand there, and half the time they don't even work. The mother is out working. That's a bad thing. You can't get much worse than that. Civilization can't get much lower than that for family life. I don't think.
Wow.
I think we're at the bottom.
Did this young person have kids themselves, or?
Yeah, these
the one that got the curse out the gentleman did the.
Well, he didn't have a dad at home.
Okay.
His mother was young. And but they said that's a general rule, and it was scary in the meeting last night. I own houses in that area, and where I told my wife, shoot, I don't want to come back over here at night now.
Wow.
Because they're going around with, all of them have guns. So the police met with them, and see, this gun law has been a detriment. And they told the police, we got more guns than you got. They got 2 police and about 10 of them, and all of them had guns.
Wow.
High-powered rifles. That sort of thing.
But yeah, you don't feel that, but they disrespect elders and people.
Disrespect themselves and everybody else.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you say, Dr. Tucker, you went to school with MEdgar Evans at Alcorn?
Alcorn State, yes.
So what type of person was MEdgar?
Fine person. In fact, he was, he went to church on Sunday. He played football. And he was a hustler. What I mean by that, he took up clothes for OK Cleaners. Brought pies around at night, sold pies. And I never heard him utter a vulgar word. I was around him a lot.
Wow.
But he was a fine person, fine man.
So was he a good football player?
Yes, he was. But I don't know too much personally about him. I didn't fool with football, but I know he was on the first team. I know that.
You said as far as his personality,
Oh, it's tremendous. Yes, he was very good. Nice person.
so you surprised that he ended up doing the things?
No, I was not.
Mm-hmm.
Because he was that type of person, he loved people. And looked like he treated everybody. In fact, my wife and I talked with him in Jackson not long before he was killed.
You remember what the talk was about? Or
I know he did tell me that he would not give me his telephone number because people would trace me to him, and for my security, he wouldn't. When he come to Tupelo, so he wouldn't call me. I wouldn't call him. But he was just thinking about me, you know, trying to protect me.
So I know I had read things or saw interviews with his wife saying that she was really upset how some of the black folks in Mississippi treated Medgar like they didn't want to have anything to do with him. Like he'll walk down the sidewalk and then walk across the street and get away from him.
But I do notice, I mean, I didn't notice then, but I do remember when he was talking to me, he was squatting down by the car.
Oh,
And,
wow.
I don't know, maybe he was just relieving himself that way, but maybe he was, I don't know. But I do remember the whole time he talked with us, he was squatting down.
So you think you're trying to hide or trying?
Well, that's what I don't know. That's what I don't know. I'm just relaying that to you.
And I know now because we got the Freedom of Information Act and also the Mississippi Sovereignty Commission files are online. We know there were black spies in the community that were spying on folks like Medgar Evers and activists.
That's hard to believe, isn't it?
Yeah. But now, you know, we got Judas. I mean, like, you think about it, you know, it is hard to believe at first, but what are your thoughts about that? I mean, some of the people were very prominent in the black community that were spying on these civil rights activists.
Do you think they knew they were spying, or would the other people just ask questions that they would answer, you know, not knowing that they were being used as spies?
I don't know. In some cases where people actually signed up for it, they didn't want no payment or compensation. I guess they thought they was doing their civic duty. You know, kind of like, I guess now with the Patriot Act, people report certain things about other folks, thinking they're doing their civic duty. But it really undermined the movement in a lot of ways. I can't speak for everybody, but I just know that I talked to friends of mine who relatives were involved as being used as spies for the Mississippi Sovereignty Commission. You know, and they were prominent educators in the community and all types of folk with so-called good names.
Well, that's something I don't think I could have done that.
Yeah, but I always like look at it this way. My take on Judas is that Judas did what he didn't betray Jesus. He honored Jesus by doing what he did because Jesus knew what was coming. So I didn't see it as betrayal. I saw it was just prophecy fulfilled. And then once he did what he had to do, he killed himself.
Yeah.
I didn't see it as no people say he's a Judas. I said if he's a Judas, then I don't know if he's really betraying his mission. Cause maybe that was Judas' purpose. So it wasn't betrayal. That's what I'm saying.
Just like they talk about Uncle Tom.
Right.
Now Uncle Tom, you know, he's not like people. Uncle Toms are portrayed as now.
Right. Uncle Tom was a good thing.
Yeah, Uncle Tom was a good thing.
But,
right.
Yeah. I mean, you don't understand. I'm glad you see when people call me Uncle Tom, I say, yeah, Uncle Tom is not what it means today.
That's right.
It had a totally different meaning back then. Uncle Tom was like a mastermind, a shapeshifter. He was a master of disguise.
Yeah.
He was able to get things done. He was an alchemist. That's why I look at Uncle Tom. But like what people call it today, I'm saying until we tell our ancestors' stories, they get no glory. Until we get to the root of who they were and who we were, we can never get ahead. You know what I'm saying? Because we don't know how strong our roots are and how strong of a tree we can be if we don't look at the history and make it known, better known.
Yeah, yeah.
Cause we come from some mighty trees.
Oh yeah.
And Medgar was just 37 when he died. Which is unfortunate, but he was 37.
He and his wife and I, we were classmates.
So what are your thoughts about Merle? What do you think of her?
Fine person. Yes, she was. She went to Alcorn in 1950. Yeah. And very nice young lady. Yeah, she and you know she became the NAACP president, didn't she?
Yeah, she actually saved their reputation. I mean, when they was in some dire straits.
Mm-hmm.
And then, like, I know that I heard that in recent years, the NAACP issued her an apology for not protecting her husband because I believe MEdgar requested security from the NAACP, and they ain't take his request seriously.
Oh, I didn't know about that.
Yeah, he requested that. You know, his life was on the day. Like, he was getting them threats, like you said in your example, where he didn't want you to call him directly.
Right.
But his life was on a constant threat because he was the field secretary for the NAACP. And really, when you're the field secretary, you just out there by yourself.
Yeah.
You just a moving target. So he requested NAACP send him some bodyguards and protection. They didn't do it. So years later, they apologized to him early for not doing that. But his brother, on the other hand, was a different story.
I went visit. I visited the town. Oh, what's the name of the town?
Jackson.
No, that his brother was mayor of.
Oh, I know you're talking about. I know you're talking about.
We went through that and visited him when he was mayor of that town.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, his brother took some hard turns, I thought. Voted for people that I thought he wouldn't have voted for.
He Republican. He's still a Republican. Yeah.
I mean, I couldn't understand that.
But I think what I like about him is that he's his own person, and also he's a survivor. Like, he was able to survive something. I mean, he's almost 100 years old now. He's in his 90s. And I had visited him a couple times down to Jackson. When I come through, I try to make it my business to try to go by the station and talk to him a little bit. And he got a fascinating worldview. I don't agree with everything he says, but at the same time, I think he didn't try to be nobody's saint. You know what I'm saying? He was going to die for the cause. I mean, he pimp and gangster from Chicago, numbers guy. You know what I'm saying? You know, a guy, for some people, a questionable character, but a guy that Dr. King used to come to Jackson, used to run over to Charles Evans' house because he had all the goons and guns. Because he said it himself, he told me, I believe in God, goons, and guns. Charles Evans said that. Yeah, God, goons, and guns. The 3G. And he said, Dr. King's come over the house and said, I feel so safe, Charles. You got all the guns and goons. So sometimes you want somebody like that on your side. I mean, sometimes you need them goons and stuff on your side. But that doesn't mean, you need Jesus and God, of course. But you know, you're dealing with a certain type of enemy. You want somebody that can help you out. You know. So how can people get a copy of this book? How can we get a copy? What do we need to do?
Just write me and I'll send you one. I'll send it to my address and everything back here on the back page.
Okay, we'll definitely promote that. Thank you so much.
I certainly appreciate you promoting it.
I don't,
of course, you can go to Amazon. You can go to Amazon and get it, but I'd rather you get it from me because I still have a lot of them.
All right, that sounds good. We'll definitely do.
Yeah. Now I've met people that they read it and got it on Amazon.
Okay,
it's on there.
So I'll definitely promote both. I'll definitely send you because they get an autograph copy from you.
That's right. That's right. You give me their names, I'll autograph it, and I'll send it to you. I'll even pay the postage myself.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
That sounds good. Thank you so much, Dr. Tucker.
I'd like for you to order about 20.
All right, that sounds good. Thank you so much. We love you badly. In the words of Great Together. Thank you.
And I really appreciate you. This has been a very highlight of my day here.
Oh, really? Mine too. Like,
talking to you,
Yeah, but it's so much like, if those kids knew about Jimmie LUNceford, for example, and about that, they might have a different attitude about themselves. Like, because I look at education, the foundation is knowledge itself, or your education. If you don't know who you are, where you come from, how can you know to achieve at a certain level?
Yeah.
What are the expectations